And China's Wanda Group is among the big spenders. CCTV's Shraysi Tandon sat down with the group's global head of sales, Michael Purefoy, and asked him about the company's investment strategy.
We started investing overseas in 2013, and as of today we have 6 projects around the world, 2 in Europe, in London and Madrid, 2 in Australia, 1 on the Gold Coast and another one in Sydney, and 2 here in the US, the first being in Chicago and the second in Beverly Hills. And geographically, those continents are really where we're focusing on, and we would look to expand in other, what we consider to be global gateway cities. So that's really the driver of our international expansion, not so much speed, but more having the right strategic locations in cities around the world.
When you're deciding what location to invest in and what sort of property, either an existing asset to buy or one to develop, what are some of the things that you're looking for?
Well, I think the key for us is that all of the projects need to fit in with our global strategy, and all of the 6 projects I just mentioned all share certain key characteristics. The first is that in all of their respective cities, they're in really prime locations. The second is that they all incorporate a Wanda Vista hotel. So we will use the real estate developments also as part of the springboard for the emergence of the Wanda hotel portfolio as well. And then in addition to the hotel, we'll also have luxury residential apartments for sale. So any project that we look at, we generally look at, needs to meet those basic criteria.
We know that the Chinese economy is slowing down and that China is experiencing a housing glut. Is this now forcing you to look more aggressively outside the country?
The international expansion is entirely unrelated to the continued expansion of Wanda in China. It's really just an additional part of the group's expansion and growth from being a purely sort of domestic-based company to becoming a more international organization.
You know, Michael, a lot of Chinese property companies, they see the brewing trouble in China's housing market, and that's forcing them to snap up existing assets overseas. Wanda is doing this as well. But what you're doing is a little bit more interesting and even more challenging, because you're not just buying existing assets, you're actually going out and developing new ones. Can you tell me the strategy behind that? What's the thinking behind that?
Well, as I mentioned before, the projects that we're looking at, one of the key objectives for us is to build a portfolio of hotels around the world. And our chairman, Mr. Wang, has made that quite clear. So that's a driver for our expansion. So we're less interested in acquiring assets and more interested in focusing on our core strategic objective, which is to build this portfolio of hotels and alongside it a portfolio of luxury residential properties.
We've seen over the last few years that the housing market in the United States has recovered, but the recovery hasn't really been that fast or furious. It's been quite tepid, and some say that, I guess, the cure-all for the recovery is really going to be time. Are you bullish or bearish about the U.S. residential market? What's your outlook?
We are focused on a very niche part of the market. We still see, we view the U.S. And certainly the cities in which we're investing so far as attracting demand from all over the world. And so I think the nature of the projects we're looking at are a little bit insulated from the rest of the market. So we're taking a sort of longer-term view. And obviously, given that we've invested here in 2 projects so far, we have, clearly we have confidence in the longevity of the markets.